Now. Okay, Ben, Amy, are you guys happy to kick off soonish?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, last time we left our hapless heroes, um, you guys had just managed to climb down the outside of the complex where you had been staying for the last 3 days. Uh, Hastened most due to the arrival of dead bodies clawing at the doors and the crash of the spaceship that you were awaiting its arrival. So, you've all managed to clamber down from the top of the building and you're stood around at the south side. And where are you guys looking to head?
Um, I think
Space.
I think we found it. Oh yeah, I think we found out about some civilization
So
nearby.
you know.
The discussion was either to go to the crashed ship, which probably is not a very good idea, or to find somewhere where we can get shelter, because we don't want to be outside when the corona hits.
Yeah.
So you know of a town that's to the north, and you know that the crash ship is just off to the west. And that's
Oh.
all you know really at the moment. You know that there's the outhouse which is nearby,
Mm-hmm.
but that's
Everyone loves
the,
it now.
that's the only shelter that you are currently aware of.
Well, to be honest, if the ship doesn't look that far away, I'd probably want to see if the pilot was alive.
Okay. Does Doctor Wyatt have a say in this?
Everyone has to say.
I mean, does she have anything to say?
No, if you want to head off to certain death, the only off chance that the pilot may or may not be alive, then that's entirely up to you.
But is
Not,
it?
not that I'm trying to, to tell you where my preference lies. He's probably dead, but yeah, we can do what you want.
Okay, could we tell that he'd be probably dead from the crash we saw?
No.
Right.
There is no way you will know for certain if he is alive or dead without going there.
Right.
He's Schrodinger's pilot.
I don't know. You guys alright with just leaving him?
Apparently. Dion doesn't really care too much. He's really a bit flustered about the whole. It talked to him and said it wanted to feed. And he's a bit shocked about that.
That's true.
And he keeps asking Dion for some food. For Solomon for some food.
Not time yet.
Well, I suppose if no one else is willing to go, then I obviously wouldn't go wandering off.
Okay. So
I'm not
where?
saying I'm not willing to go. My preference is to stay. That's all I've said.
Well, we want to give it time for the fire to die down before we go and try and scope around this site.
But what if he's like trapped in there while it's burning?
Then by
What
the
are we
time
going
we
to
get
do?
there,
Can we try and get him out?
From a burning wreck of a spaceship.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do if the corona hits before we can make it to safety?
Okay. Do you know how long it is till the corona hits?
So it's currently midday. So you know you've got at least 6 hours.
Okay. Does it look like it'd take 6 hours to get to the ship and back to this?
Getting through jungle always times the amount of time you expect it to take by at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're used to jungle travel.
Nope.
You can't say either of you are.
I would say 6 hours for us to just get to the crash. I might be wrong. Actually, I'll make a survival roll.
Fair enough.
I've got +0 on survival. I got a 7.
Okay. He could be anywhere between 2 to 6 to possibly 10 hours away.
Okay. Sod that. Then.
None of you really saw the angle of his descent.
And the trees are blocking the smoke, I assume.
You can see smoke off into the distance, but there is some wind, so it is billowing about a bit. Um, Actually, yeah, no. Seeing the smoke,
Blaze, do you want to climb a tree?
Um, I suppose I could. If you guys keep an eye on me.
Yeah, we'll do.
Alright.
I'll stand down below. I promise I will try to catch you and not jump out of the way.
Okay.
If you...
Well, I'm fairly light, so. Okay.
so you manage to clamber up a tree quite easily. You leave your bags at the bottom. You clamber up, and it goes quite high. It goes well above the height of the complex itself, and you can see the burning wreckage and the trough that it's cut away through the jungle. And you reckon, as the crow flies, it's probably about an hour away.
Okay.
It's quite a way off into the distance, but you can see the red hue of fire and the black plumes of smoke.
Okay.
And what birds you can see in the air are all scattering in other directions.
I'll shout down to the others. It looks pretty far.
As you look down to shout, you see the west side, one of the windows on the western side, shatter open as a body falls out of it.
Of the ship.
No, of the compound.
Of the compound.
You're above.
Was it a window with a red one on it by any chance?
No, so this is from the
different
first floor.
Okay.
Well, you can't quite tell because you're from the south side at the moment,
Yeah.
but you can see glass shatter and some form of body just fall out of the window.
Okay. I'll attempt to half slide,
Can you hear
half climb down the tree.
Okay, can you give me a athletics dexterity roll if you're not trained in athletics, just dexterity
I'm
then?
not trained.
Michael,
Yes.
was there any chance that we heard that?
Yes, you guys would have heard that as well. You'd have heard a smash come from the western side.
I got
Okay.
I got a 7.
Yep, you slide down. You get a couple of splinters as you go, but
Yep.
nothing that's going to slow you down too much.
Okay. I'll tell them that there's what I saw, a body.
Yeah, we heard that. Okay, pick up all the stuff and let's go. Come on, Dion.
Okay.
As you turn to say, "Come on, Dion," you see he's stuffed his face full of mushrooms, and he turns to you and goes, "What?" and swallows.
Move! The feeders are coming. Let's go.
He's like, "Okay," and he grabs whatever you offer him, and he trundles off after you.
Cool. Grab my rucksack. Follow.
Okay, so you guys head off. Do you head north or west?
North, guys? Towards the civilization?
Yeah, we'll head towards the station.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, you head round the east side of the complex, obviously trying to stay away from whatever it was that was, and you travel through the jungle. As Solomon highlighted, it is slow going. There's lots of vines and broken bracken in the way, but you make relatively good time as far as you can tell.
I'll be using my sword to try and kind of clear a decent path, but it'll be. I don't want to clear a straight path because that'll mean somebody could charge down after us, so it'll be a little bit zigzaggy.
Okay, sure. Yep, you cut through, and I'm just going to do something. Okay, and off into the distance, just off to the east, you can see what looks like a very large. It looks like the back end of a rhinoceros, just off to the east, and what also beyond that, what looks like some sort of cave or dark outcrop on a hill.
How long have we been going? Sorry.
You've probably by this point you've been traveling about 3 hours. Dion's getting a bit tired. He's starting to lag a bit. Dr. Wyatt, you're not used to all this trekking through the woods. It's hot and heavy work.
How's everyone doing?
It's really hot.
Yeah. And you're not carrying nearly as much as I am. Doc, Dion.
So
I just get somewhere to rest. As
Well,
soon as you
I
can.
see a cave just ahead. Do we want to try and take a chance on that, or do we want to keep pushing on to find this town?
I think a cave is probably a good place to stay. At least we can get out of the radiation.
The big problem with a cave is that everyone else, all the other animals, think it's a good place to stay as well, and they can get a bit territorial. So we may have to fight for this cave.
Oh.
It's not a definite, and it might be much better to fight for a cave than keep pushing on. I just want to make everyone aware.
As you guys are standing around, Dion claims that he's starting to feel a bit dizzy, and potentially one of those blackouts might be coming.
And Doc, if we could...
I'll take a look at him. Just make a decision and we'll do it.
Blaze, what do you
Amy,
think?
can you roll me a 2d6 medic intelligence medic test, please?
Ben's going to roll for me. Just let me check. Where's the document? Here's the document. Is it plus medic and plus intelligence or something?
Yes.
So medic is 3 and intellect or
Yes.
education.
Intellect.
So plus 4. You get an 11.
Okay. You can tell that he is burning up. He's hotter than even you are right now. He doesn't seem to be carrying too much, and he is sweating quite profusely at the moment. And you wouldn't be surprised if he's either having a heat stroke or there's something else wrong.
Well, it wouldn't be heat stroke because if it's heat stroke, you stop sweating. So it's not reached a very bad stage then. Yeah, can we just try and get out of this heat, get somewhere cool, and
Right.
rest up?
Blaze,
Yeah?
what weaponry have you got on you right now?
I draw out the handgun I took before and I say, I've got this, and I've got a knife, and I've got a shotgun.
Okay, we want to try not to use guns.
Okay.
That will cause stampedes, potentially. Stick to blades as much as possible, but handguns as a backup. We need to save these shotguns, because we saw that the shotguns were really good against the zombies, just in case. I'm pretty sure we're away now, but
Okay.
if they're getting out of the compound, we can't be certain. So yeah, I'm going to draw my sword and have my... no, I need my other hand free in case I fall down. Okay, so you said that there's like the arse of a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make some kind of check to see if there's any babies with.
Yep, sure. If you give me just an intellect roll on that.
Sorry, just one sec. I think my intellect's +1. I can't remember.
Your character sheet is on the Roll20.
My character sheet's been updated on my PC, and I've not updated it on 20. So
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Most likely it's 1 because your intellect is
yeah,
9.
+1. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, shut up.
Okay. So. 9.
You don't see any around here. He seems to be sniffing and eating some sort of plant, and doesn't seem to be interested in much else.
Yeah. Well, I have no interest in pissing off this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just kind of get around it, so I'm going to move kind of round it and be fairly slow.
Yeah.
And not turn my back to it, but also not sort of kind of keep it side on the whole time.
That's fine.
Make sure it can see me and that it knows that I'm not interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My blade out. Sorry?
Can I see what kind of plant it's eating?
If as you travel around,
Yeah.
it's just some sort of white and green flower.
Is there any others around?
You can go and look for some, but you can't see any
Okay.
straight away.
Okay, never mind then.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys skirt around. After you get about halfway round, it kind of looks up and then goes back to sniffing and chewing on the flower. And then after it's done, it sort of turns and heads south. And you guys make your way to the mouth of the cave. It's pretty dark inside. There's not really much light that's getting into the cave. You can smell yeah, sort of like the smell of like refuse and shit. So it's obviously something has or is living in here. You can see what looks like chewed up roots just on the outside. And that's what you see as you walk up to the cave.
Okay. Worst case, we're looking at some kind of big cat or bear. Best case, it's a family of like possums or something. Even then, I don't really want to face them if I can't see them. What light have we got? Oh, actually, I'm going to put my light intensifying goggles on.
Okay.
And I'm also put my rebreather mask on just in case we've hit a skunk or something.
Sure. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. As you put your goggles on, you can see quite a way into the cave. It sort of enters and goes down. There's small stalactites off the top, and also what you can see is there's some fur that's caught along the stalactites as well.
Probably bats.
Okay.
Or it could be something that's going to drop on our heads and eat our faces. You know, one or the other.
Would I know that bats would usually have loads and loads of poo all over, like really slippery stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you would be aware that bat guano is quite a highly used resource. So yes, you know that they would shit a lot.
So I'll just say I don't think it's bats.
But you said we could smell bat.
No, you could
smell shit, but there's no white floor covering, effectively.
Okay. How high is the ceiling in this cave?
The ceiling is about it's about 10 feet high. The stalactites seem to drop down to about 7 feet off the ground. The bottom one, the lowest ones, which seems to be having the fur caught onto them.
In that case, I can easily reach it with my sword, so I'm just going to not stand directly underneath, but just kind of give it a bit of a poke with the point of the blade.
Yep, you give it a bit of poke, and it sort of, you pull it off, or cut it away, or scrape it off, and you bring your sword down, and it looks like sort of, it's quite a coarse, almost bear-like fur, but from your knowledge of animals, you know it's not a bear. Or at least it's not a bear that you are familiar with.
Hang on, it's scraped its back 7 foot above the ground.
Yeah.
It's a giant hamster.
Can you... Yeah, no, that's what you've got at the moment.
My survival's not that great, so...
No,
I suppose
knowledge animals if you want.
That would be
education animals.
I've got animals, so I can take that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, rolling okay today.
Yep. You look at it, and yes, you think that it's probably back fur off something. For it to have scraped it all along this either means that it's quite big and slow or doesn't care, or it's bigger, scarier, and really is quite horrible. You're more staring on the side of the fur, as there's no real claw marks on any, and most animals that are hunters are quite predatory and mark their territory quite nicely.
Well, this is probably going to be a bit of a... Well, if we're lucky, this is from... Oh, actually, is it warm? Does it seem to be from recent, or is it kind of been there a while?
It's been there a long while.
Oh, okay, so it may well have moved on. Okay, I'm just going to slowly head down into the...
Okay. Yep, you head on into the cave, and as I say, it drops down, and you can hear...
When you say drops down, are we talking 45 degrees or like 60 degrees?
It's like 80 degrees. It's really not that steep at all. Sorry, 20 degrees. It's not steep. It's a slow dip into the ground.
Slopes down.
Yeah. It slopes down into, as you can see, into an open cavern. And you can see off to one side there's some dripping and there's a little puddle of water. It's seriously cooler in here than it is outside. And off to the left, however, you can see what looks like a large mound of fur on the left, and it seems to be curled up.
Does it smell like there might be a dead thing in here?
Whatever is the mound of fur really reeks of ammonia, and
so it's hibernating.
Most likely, yes.
We could do with some extra food. That thing's got meat on it. Coup de grace, anyone?
So, who else went down with him at the moment? Because currently he's the only one down there, because he's the only one that can see.
I thought. Oh, of course, yeah, Blaze wouldn't.
How far in is he?
Oh, he's gone past your vision because it slopes down.
Yeah.
But he's about 20-25 foot into the cave.
I was going to stay with Dion, but
yeah,
depends what.
Well, you can't see in there unless you take some sort of light source.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't think.
You all have torches.
Oh yeah, I did get a torch. Yeah. Okay, I'll be shining the torch like down at the ground.
That's actually probably why I'm able to see, because I need at least a little bit of light to see
I
in this place.
I wouldn't be shining like right into the cave in case there was something in there, but
in case there were bats.
Yeah, I don't like them in my hair. So yeah, I'm shining it down there, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't actually go in unless Solomon called for it.
Yeah.
I need to stay quiet at the moment. I'm going to go over and see if I think I can work out where either its throat or heart would be from.
Yep. Give me a intelligence animals roll.
Okay, that's the same again.
Cool. Yeah, you managed to find its head quite easily. You also managed to find its hand, paws, or whatever, and they have huge, long, curved, almost nails or talons on them. And it's curled up in a small, a huge ball. And its face is quite snouty. And you managed to be able to actually tell, being this close, that it looks like it's a giant sloth.
Oh no!
But
we're hungry. Sorry, giant sloth.
So yes, you've managed to find its head. You can see its neck. It's breathing quite softly. It seems like it's quite in a deep sleep.
No, don't be sad now.
Okay. Well, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the stupid.
The needs of the sloth.
So I'll use my blade to put it out of its misery as well. No, put it out of its lovely, enjoyable sleep.
Okay. Yeah, you slice your blade along its neckline. Can you please roll me damage? Which I believe is 2d6 plus your strength. Is it 2d6 or 1d6? Blade. Weapons.
Right.
That's what I wanted.
Hang on.
These are all guns. I don't want guns.
Can't believe we're killing a sloth.
Blade, 2d6 plus strength, please.
Is there any bonus for it being asleep, or is it just...
I just want damage right now.
Okay, fair enough. My strength is +1, so 2d6 +1 gives me... I am rolling like a boss.
Nice. Yeah, you managed to slice in the thick fur. Really makes it quite hard, and you're slightly concerned that you're literally just going to wake it up, and then you manage to cut through the thick of it, and your blade just slides in, and you hear it go, and blood starts spraying out over you. It rolls over and starts thrashing.
I'll try and jump back out of the way.
Yep, you jump out of the way. Blood is pouring down it. You can see where its fur starts to mat up, and it limps towards you, and eventually and slowly collapses to the ground, and it starts twitching at you slowly.
I know. I'm a murderer. Right. You said there was a pool of water in here. Does it seem that there's an exit point for that water?
It does seem like it's trickling away very, very slowly, yes.
Okay. I'm going to roll the corpse... actually, no, I don't want the corpse in the water, because that's not drinking water. Right. Basically clear up the blood as best I can.
You roll the corpse and mat up all the fur in the blood.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we use the fur to get blood off the floor. Yeah, I'll use it as a giant mop.
Yep. You successfully mop up the worst of it.
We need to walk in and see this.
I'll push it into the corner as far away from the...
I mean, you guys all hear this kind of like whiny roar and from outside, and the clatter of paws. So, I mean, you're quite well in your right to charge in to try and save him.
I'm also going to clean my sword thoroughly on its fur as well, if I can find a bit that's clean.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Before I put it away. Sorry, Kirsty. I'm sorry.
He's killing your native wildlife, darling.
But then I'll basically call everyone down, and then I'm gonna start cutting off pieces of it to. We need to kind of cure the meat a bit.
Wow! You're not even gonna check to see if it's toxic.
Well, we get the meat, then I give it to you, and you tell us if it's safe.
Yep, fine. You start carving away. You cut out some of its fur, and then you cut out some of its flank. But this is a huge beast, so you don't really need to take much to feed yourself or anything like that. Where do you set up a fire to start curing it? Or do you not bother and just wrap it up and just take it fresh?
Not sure. I was just thinking, because you don't have to. You can use ammonia itself to actually cure stuff, can't you? Is that bad? I know you can use salt as well.
Yeah, no, salt, ammonia, not really.
Even if you were smoking it, it takes about 3 days to smoke a fish.
Fine, so fire it is. We'll start a fire near the mouth of the cave, because that'll actually keep anyone else away as well. And if anyone happens to notice it, then... hang on. No, do you know what? That's metagaming. My character has no idea that these zombies could possibly be following us. As far as I'm concerned, survival is the important thing here, not worrying about...
Fire good.
Mech dead. As far as I'm concerned, as soon as they get away from a power source, they're just going to fall over anyway. So, yeah. Yes, so we'll set up a fire near the mouth of the cave. And that seems...
Okay. So you set up and you start carving the meat. You start... you put up some rungs and start smoking it.
Well, now, as I said, first of all, we need to find out whether the doctor thinks it's safe to eat.
Yeah, well, you think it's safe. I mean, you've had training carving animals and preparing meats. It's a fresh kill. It'll be pretty healthy. You'll probably want to wash it before you smoke it, but
yeah. I've got various things to carry water with, so I'll carry the water away from the...
I'm working under the assumption that this is an alien, foreign world.
Well, it's terraformed, isn't it?
Is it definitely terraformed?
Yes.
Are we talking like animals that we should be used to that may just be different in size?
Yeah. So there's animals that you...
on the assumption of we don't even know what their base DNA chains are made out of.
You know what their base DNA chains are made out. This planet was terraformed 1,000 years ago, and it was populated with the majority of things that have been found on other stable Terran planets, and they've been introduced in an effect to study how humans grow on it. So all the animals are slight variations on what we as players would expect to find.
Hooray.
We'll still check because there are huge, huge radiation problems on this planet, aren't
Yep,
there? So
there are. Well, you've got your scanner, and you take it out and you give it a whirl, and as I say, the meat seems quite fine. Spin the scanner over your head.
Whoa.
Mm-mm.
What's that?
nothing.
Okay, cool. So the meat seems fine as far as any of you are able to tell.
Okay, well, we continue eating Eleanor. And,
As they have named the sloth.
Awesome.
So...
Wow. This is delicious. Tastes
Yeah,
just
sorry, so
like player.
We cook as much of it as possible, and I'm going to try and feed Dion. Is he willing to eat?
He is not. No, he's pretty much at this point gone delirious.
Fine, doctor's patient. Doctor will keep an eye on him. Doctor knows best.
So, Doc, what are you doing with Dion? Are you just tending to him and making sure that he doesn't die?
He was eating those mushrooms, yeah? He took a handful of them, didn't he?
Yes.
Does he still have any of them on him?
No, he does not.
Dumbass. Yeah, to be honest, it's just, I guess watching him for fever, watching him for, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, just basic medical, look after him, make sure he doesn't bite his own
Well,
tongue.
generally, I imagine the doctor would perhaps at this stage, induce vomiting just to get a sample of the mushrooms or something like that, but a little bit too late, and if we need to go quickly, then I don't exactly need him vomiting, but who knows. I do doctory things because I'm the best doctor in the universe.
Yeah.
I find him a miracle cure based off of a mushroom of the opposite color on the spectrum.
Sounds good. Okay. So you've managed to set up what looks like a suitable camp. You have a cave set out, and you have a small what you've eaten for today, and you've carved off a little bit more to coat for smoking. So
Don't smoke.
Hmm?
I said, don't smoke, kids.
Don't smoke, kids. Yeah. All those listening, smoking is bad. Those not listening, have fun. Time rolls around. I'm guessing you guys are planning on waiting out the Corona pass.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So cool. Yep. So time passes on, and the ground starts to shake, and then there's a bright light surging outside as you see the Corona pass overhead. About 7 minutes later, it passes, and the shaking slows down and then stops. And after about another half an hour, it starts getting dark.
I do not want to try and navigate at night.
Yeah.
Through a jump. We will end up breaking our necks. That would be my opinion.
If you don't want to with your night vision goggles, then I definitely don't want to.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the night passes on. Give me a second.
But we will have someone watching out. We'll try to have a guard during the night.
Okay.
Good plan.
However, there's only really me and Blaze. I mean, Doctor, are you willing to stand guard?
If you want me to, but I'm not a good shot.
No, it's just a shout if something happens.
Oh yeah, I can shout.
Okay. Which order are you going in?
I'll take the
I'll
middle.
go first.
I'll take the middle.
Okay, I'll take the last.
Okay. So nothing happens during Wyatt's watch of the night. Your fire is still going outside. The meats are still curing, and yeah, everything is uneventful. You swap shifts with Blaze. Blaze, you sit out there for about an hour and a half. At which point you start hearing rustling coming from where are you? You're there, south.
So the direction of the compound.
Yes.
Okay. I will get the torch ready.
Yep.
Did it sound quite far away or pretty close?
Pretty close. It's
Okay.
the nearby bushes are starting to
All
rustle.
right. I'll flick the torch on.
Okay, you flick it on. Do you point it in the direction
Yes.
of the rustling?
Yes.
Okay. You point it in the direction of the rustling, and you see one of the bushes start to shake, and out from it crawls a lizard, about knee high, and about. It's about 3 foot in length. So, 4-legged lizard. It's got a very big jaw, and it's slowly coming towards the fire.
Okay. Does it look like its teeth are quite sharp?
It hasn't opened its mouth
Right,
yet,
okay.
but its jaw is quite solid.
Okay. I'm guessing it's coming for the smell of the meat. So I will. I'm sorry, Solomon. I'd probably wake you. You seem to know.
Okay.
You seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah, nice.
You nip back into the cave,
Yeah.
and you get to Solomon. Solomon, you're woken by Blaze.
I'll tell him what I've just seen.
I'm actually I've been kind of on the edge of sleep. I'm a bit
Yeah.
freaked out here, so I kind of wake up probably very fast, and my hand goes to my sword.
Sure.
What is it?
There's a lizard coming towards us. Looks pretty big. I figured you might want to take a look.
Sure.
By the time you guys get back out, you hear a clatter as the
It's eating our food.
as it's eating the meat. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Run at it yelling.
Okay. You run at it yelling. As you run at it yelling, you see its jaw bite down on meat and the stick, and it just crushes it in
Oh,
half.
bloody hell.
And it turns to you and hisses. At which point, what you hadn't seen before was like gills. Like, it's not really gills, but a fin flays out a little bit, and it turns to you and it
Oh my god.
reciprocates in intimidation.
It's a Dilophosaurus.
Do you wish to attack it?
Question. As we've been curing this meat, have we been taking it off and replacing it, or is this the first batch?
This is just the first batch.
Well, we kind of need that.
Yeah, we do. Okay.
Does it look like we get any back, or is it literally already destroyed the meat?
You reckon you could probably save 1 or 2 pieces, but not
Yes.
much more than that.
It's not really worth it.
Wait, I will have drawn my handgun. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
It's just in case. Yeah. Maybe we need to set up some traps while curing meat. But yeah, whatever.
We could potentially. The thoughts going through my head are potentially get more meat from this thing,
Yeah.
but potentially get horribly hurt because this one's ready.
Yeah.
And we've got plenty more meat down in the cavern. But the problem is, if we back down from this, is it just going to follow us down to the cavern and
Yeah.
Dion and the others? And
I say wait and see. It might eat this and leave. If it looks like it's still going towards the cavern, then we'll have to deal with it.
okay, we'll back off then towards back into the cavern and just kind of what.
So you take a step back, at which point its fins slow down and it turns back and it chomps down the last 2 bits. and then it just turns and heads north and walks off.
Phew.
Right, I'm going to start a new fire, but actually inside the cave mouth, because the fire won't actually go down. It's gonna
You don't need
go out.
you don't need so much the fire. It's just the smoke you use.
Yeah, but we don't want smoke down in the cave.
Yes, but the smoke will
So
rise.
you set up a greenwood burning rather than a full fire.
But then I'm going to take that 50 foot of wire that we've got.
Yes.
And I'm going to start stringing it all around the cave mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn to Blaze and I'm like, look, we need more food before we move on. We're going to have to be here for at least another day, I think.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to be okay?
I think you're right, and we should probably get this meat sorted at least, and maybe look around. In my head, I'm thinking maybe those flowers the rhinoceros thing was eating could be edible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. You do that, and you set back down to watch, and you carry on smoking a new set of meat.
But yeah, so basically, I'm not very knowledgeable of traps, but I just kind of want to make it more difficult to get at our fire.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's quite thin wire, it could potentially confuse an animal, and we definitely hear it.
Yeah.
I tell Blaze to just go and get some sleep. I'm awake now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Morning rolls round, and those that are asleep are awoken by the shaking of the ground, and then the bright lights surging into the cave as the corona passes overhead. And it's now about 7 in the morning, and you're there. There were no other incidents during the night.
Phew. Someone turn the alarm off.
After about 8 minutes of constant shaking and light, it dwindles away. And then it starts getting brighter as the sun comes into view.
I guess I'd be awake now.
Okay. Dion just sort of stares. There's still sweats or rivulets of sweat pouring down his face, and he's still running quite the temperature, even in the cool cave.
Do we have enough water?
There seems to be a steady supply of water from the roof of the cave dripping down into the small pool. You reckon that you've probably got about 2, maybe 3 days worth before you'll have used it all up, based on how much you're drinking versus how fast it's filling.
Okay.
We can also drink the blood if.
No.
Not after the second day. It will congeal by then.
I think it would be too salty.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not
only
trying to
so
say.
much-
I'm not
there's
saying
only
it
so
replace
much-
water.
No, I mean, it's only you would start throwing up.
Mm.
Because your stomach doesn't want to have blood in it. So you end up throwing up, so you dehydrate yourself faster.
Okay, fine. All right. There you go. I don't know.
Your first thing in the morning, you guys are sat in the cave, and time's just rolling on at the moment. Do any of you want to go out exploring?
I'm going out to look for those flowers.
Okay,
with
sure.
the intention to bring them back to Wyatt.
Yep.
And see if she knows if they're edible or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you do me a survival intellect roll, please?
Okay. 1 second. 9.
Cool. Yeah, you managed to find quite a few,
-2.
actually. He's not trained in survival.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I meant -2 and he's still got a 9. That's awesome.
Yeah, you come back with quite a handful of both those flowers and a load of other herbs and nuts and berries that you found. One particular place you found was just full of these red berries that look like cranberries.
Okay.
But you're not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't like cranberries as well, so. Okay.
Is that you or Blaze?
No, Blaze, Blaze.
Okay, well, that's her loss, but that's